Welcome to Medical Intuition Illuminated, the podcast bringing light to the wisdom of the body. I'm your host, Laura Wise, a medical intuitive and psychic medium dedicated to helping you understand the subtle and layered ways your body communicates. Here, we explore the meeting point of intuition, physiology, and energy, approaching the body not as a puzzle to fix, but as a wise, expressive system that's always speaking. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not medical advice, and it does not replace professional healthcare, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider for any medical concerns. This episode contains a real medical intuition session. All participants are anonymous, and any identifying details have been edited out to protect privacy. Okay, welcome. Well, thanks so much for joining me today. So before we get started, I just want to say my disclaimer and that I'm not a licensed medical practitioner. And so we'll be reading you and the energy of your body. I'm not going to be diagnosing. I won't be saying that I can cure anything. We're not going to be talking about any named conditions unless it's something that you bring up and you want to talk about the energy of. Along those lines, I might offer things around recommendations for foods or supplements or practices or things like that. And I do that all with the caveat that you check in with your own personal care team before making any changes to your routine. Okay, great. And then do I have your permission to read you and your energy in your body today?
You do.
Okay, beautiful. All right, so let me go ahead and send out my energy to you. The first thing that I'm seeing is just like, so interesting that they're like sparkles around the top of your head. And it just feels like your intuition is just on fire right now. It's like really opened up. You've really like unlocked things around it and your own, they're saying specifically your own personal judgments around your intuition and your intuitive gifts. And you're just kind of like the universe feels very magical to you in this moment. Like, I don't know if you're getting a lot of signs and signals, but there's just a lot of sparkles that are just around you. Does this make sense to you?
It does.
Okay, that's so beautiful. So, and they're particularly calling out your ears as well. So I don't know if you've gotten an uptick in particularly clairaudience or like hearing things or being extra sensitive to sounds, and they're talking about music in particular. Does this make sense to you?
It does.
Okay. So you're getting a lot of musical information, which is you're like talking about like literally like you'll turn on the radio and like the song will be on with the lyrics. That is exactly what you need. Yeah, I see you nodding. Great. And it's like you are in conversation with the universe, and it's a beautiful thing. So it is a little overwhelming too in some capacity, right? It's like so on that it's on all the time. And they're talking about that it's even kind of waking you up a little bit at nighttime when you're trying to sleep, right? You're hearing the collective kind of like clamor of information and energy. And you really enjoy having that connection. So there's a part of you that doesn't want to shut it down because it's like it feels very exciting and it's like very it's very, feels really good to be connected in that way, but it is affecting your rest a little bit and your ability to kind of recharge in those moments. So I would recommend putting a little bit of boundaries around sleep in particular for you, because it's like you wake up and then you can't go back to sleep almost. You're like up and then you're like, well, I might as well get up and like do stuff. But it's yeah, I do see that your body's feeling a little bit depleted from not getting enough kind of quality sleep, because it's like even your dreams are like you're doing stuff in your dreams energetically as well. And they're showing me particularly that you're having these like conversations with people and you're like working out karmic conversations like through your dreams right now. You're like meeting people in your dream life, you're having these like energetic exchanges, and you're so powerful at this time that they are really hearing you. And I wouldn't be surprised if you're seeing like impacts in your life just from you dreaming, which is really beautiful. That makes sense to you. Yeah. Okay. Let me tune in. And I do see some tension down the back of your neck. So that does feel tight into your shoulder blades. Um, and a little bit of teeth gritting as well. This feels a little bit more like it's acute as far as like as far as not as much a chronic pattern as something that you're going through right now. There's a lot of tension that I'm seeing they're showing it all the way down your back as well. Um, and they're talking about this as like a response to the collective energies that are at play right now, that there's a lot of really intense things happening globally and you are tuned in and you're not looking away from them, which is beautiful, but also can be really hard on your nervous system because they're showing, yeah, it's affecting your nerves as well, and then your nerves is showing up into your physical body pattern. And so it's what's really interesting is that I'm not feeling a lot of fear around it. It's not like it's a fearful response. It's like a I should be doing something response. Like I want to take action, and your body is caught in this feeling of not being able to take action in the ways that you feel like would be effective. Does this make sense to you?
It does, yes, very much so.
I do sense a little bit of a dryness pattern through your sinuses. And they're particularly like, are you inside a lot with like central air kind of heat going a lot? That's what I'm seeing.
I am, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's almost like because you're sensitive to drying out in general already. And so because there's like all this forced air, it's kind of further kind of complicating that and just making a little dryness. So if you're able to do something like adding in a humidifier into your room or adding like doing some more like steamy baths or getting some moisture in into those sinuses in some capacity because it's causing a little bit of inflammation and they're showing like almost like dry mucus in the throat as well. Um, and it's not quite a cough, but it's almost like pre-cough, almost was what I would call it. Yeah, that it's like you feel like you're gonna cough, and it's like not fully going into the lung pattern, but it's kind of yeah, showing up there as a dryness. Um, and and it's like you give yourself a little bit more permission to relax because I'm seeing that there's like a lot of like I should be doing paying attention every moment, I should be doing something every moment, and like really allowing yourself times when you are just being, because you are a doer and a goer. And like the being is very hard, right? It comes up as like almost feels like anxiety in a sense when you're not doing things all the time. And yeah, they're saying this is a pattern from childhood. This is a dynamic from your family kind of ingrained this in you of like, you should be moving in every possible moment. Even if and sometimes it leads to almost the spinny thing that happens where your body is exhausted and you get frozen, but then your mind kind of just spins out. And that's also what's happening at nighttime.
Thousand
So
percent.
yeah, so that we're going to take a look at that when we get to, they're saying adrenals and kidney. So we're going to particularly look at that in a moment. Let me take a look into lungs. Yeah, I'm seeing the same dryness pattern in the lungs as well. Do you have any pets in the home?
I don't, my daughter has a dog that sometimes she'll bring over, and
Okay.
that,
Yeah, because that feels like there's like sometimes dander, right? That
mhm,
can be irritating to you. But right, these are trade-offs for the loving companionship of animals sometimes. Okay. Look at lungs. Yeah, lungs feel pretty good. And something that they're telling me is they're really showing how much you're showing up in your voice. Like voice is something that you're really working on right now. Is just kind of bringing your thoughts out of your body through your voice. And that's really incredible. And this is something that is it feels like it's been challenging for you in, life so far, but like you're at the point where you're just like, F it, I'm gonna say the thing, right? I'm gonna say the thing because it's true. And I now have enough belief in my own like intuitive abilities that I know that it's true from a bones level, right? And so you're just in a like, I'm just gonna say it phase. Um, and it's almost like in some ways your body fights you on that a little bit about like getting it out. But you're just like, I'm gonna do it anyways. Like this is what I'm here to do. And so it's a beautiful thing. So I support you on that. Um, but it's almost like sometimes it's almost like your throat will be like, "Ugh, we're not gonna talk. We're not gonna like it'll like hold up because speaking was dangerous at a certain point in your life as far as getting your like basic needs met. And so it's that throat closing, but you work through it and you fight it. And so something that is coming up around that is like it's almost like you feel like you have to fight it out. And I want to reframe that as like asking your body for permission, be telling your body that it's safe, right? And this is something like my daughter gets a lot of anxiety in general. She had a really traumatic birth. And so something that I will do when she's really freaking out is I'll say, your body is safe, your mind is safe, your, spirit is safe, right? And it really seems to like circumvent what's going on in her and get to like this deeper level. And it's coming up as like this could potentially, be helpful for you. Um, to tell your body to kind of get around that and tell your body that it's safe and that it's allowed to say these things. Um, because it's almost like you're pushing through it, right? And in a way that pattern's going to continue until we convince your body that it's okay, right? If this makes sense to you.
It does.
Okay. I'm going to look at heart space. So I do see some tenderness in the heart. They're particularly showing it on the left side of the heart. And I see some protective energy around that. And this is around, yeah, personal expression. They're also showing me a cord there as well. Um, that's connected to that. So I'm marking that as something that we're going to work on. The healing portion is this cord. Um, yeah, and we'll unpack that a little more deeply when we get to it. But they're also showing on the right side of the heart that you just are very good at expressing love. Like you're really good at telling people that you love them when you really feel it, right? And that's never been difficult for you. Um, it's the kind of telling yourself that you love yourself that can be challenging sometimes. Um, and I do see some tightness in the rib cage, which is showing me there's some kind of breath that holding that's happening, a lot of tension around that. Um, and they're showing me there's some particular things. There's like almost some things going on in your life, some news that you might be waiting for that you're just kind of like holding in a holding pattern until some things kind of evolve and show how they're gonna play out. Um, and they want to remind you that breath is actually something that you can do to help move the energy of these things through and to kind of like, so holding it, you're actually telling the universe that there's something and your body that there's something to be fearful around, but it's like the breath is actually going to help move things through. So just a reminder around that. So we're going to go into kidneys and adrenals. So the kidneys feel a little bit puffy, they do feel dry, and we saw that dryness pattern throughout, but it's also that your adrenals are just on and they've been on for a long time. And that it's almost like a baseline state for you in a lot of sense. It's just to be kind of vigilant. And they're particularly talking about emotionally vigilant, that you're really good at attending to um, other people's emotional needs. And that's something that, makes you very sensitive intuitively. But that can be, yeah, it can be a little overwhelming. And it's to the point where it's definitely calmed down from where it used to be, I think a long time ago, but it's almost like such a baseline pattern that you don't even recognize how on you are a lot of the time. Um, and they're saying this is something else that we're going to work on as well, adrenals. So we're going to take a look at that pattern and release some energy around that to see where kind of you turned on that adrenals and how we can kind of get them to calm down. Let's look at digestion and stomach. Oh, okay. We're pulling me into liver. Actually, before that, liver governs the emotion of anger. And it's very interesting, your relationship with anger. It has so evolved over time, and they're showing me they're showing me you're like really embracing this like kind of like righteous anger that is happening right now of just like this is the right thing to do and it I know that I'm right, right? And it's like you're very empowered in that. Um but it's and but it's like it still feels really uncomfortable in your body to feel anger, to feel it fully. And so it's kind of like the you very much intellectualize your anger and you turn it into like really clever words and really thoughtful expressions of it. Um, but in your body, it still often feels unsafe to feel anger. And they're saying that anger in from a childhood point was really like very threatened, like people in your life were very threatened by you expressing anger, and so it was extremely suppressed, you know, and so you did a lot of work to kind of alchemize that into other ways of expressing it. They're showing me that you almost like you cultivated like a neutral tone of voice of to not kind of inflame things one direction or the other. um and so yeah, I'm seeing that tired energy as well through the liver because it's like the adrenals just are on and then you get kind of worked up and then things get a little bit depleted and tired through that. I'm also seeing a little bit of malabsorption. We'll see that when we get into the digestive pattern, but it does feel like there's a little bit of a low iron pattern, a little bit of a malabsorption pattern with digestion. Um, they are not pointing at liver as something that we're going to work on in the healing portion because they say that you're doing a lot of work around it and that what we can actually, us working with adrenals, is actually going to be more supportive of it than us kind of directly working with that liver energy. Um, because you're doing a lot of stuff around unpacking anger in your life, and what healthy anger expression is. And it feels like um they really want to emphasize you've done an incredible job with your daughter and you're not passing that anger thing on. Like they really want to emphasize you are really good at letting her have her emotional experience. Um, that's so well done. Sometimes you're not sure because you worry about it a lot and you worry that you're being able to address her emotionally. But you have done a stellar job and they really want to emphasize that's not something you should be worrying about, at all. So
That makes me feel good. Thank you.
yeah. um yeah, it's so different than what you grew up, like the complete opposite. Just the fact that she is allowed to have anger at all or allowed to have very strong emotions in your presence and you welcome them and you say yes, like they're showing that you really like you're like let's unpack this together, let's talk about it. Um or and you there's a lot of validation that you do as well, so that's really great. All right, so let's look into digestion. um it's almost showing me like I don't know if you're a little hungry right now or if have you had lunch yet?
No,
Okay, yeah, so your stomach is telling me that it would like to eat soon. I know that we're doing this. But it's like it's almost like it's like really used to getting regular meals. Like you're pretty good about getting things like on a timely basis. And so it's like, it's like the pet that's like, hey, we eat at this time every day. And we haven't eaten yet today. So, you do have a strong digestion. I think what happens though is that you can be a little bit slow to process things. And that's so that means that your digestion can also be slow to process things, which is, that can be great. Like you like to think, think things through. You like to sit with your thoughts. You like to kind of chew on your, emotions as it were, right? And that's just how you process, but that can also translate to things not moving that quickly. But I do see a dryness pattern through the digestion as well. And that's actually what's contributing to some of the malabsorption that I was seeing. Um, yeah, they're bringing up iron again. So I don't know if you ever take an iron supplement.
I don't.
Okay. And they can be they can be hard to take. So there's a lot of them that are, you know, um, just can be really hard on the stomach. They can cause constipation. And if you already have dryness issues, then that can be a challenge. But I have found one I'll send you the link for that I found a really great iron supplement. I can even take it on an empty stomach. Um, and it has been a game changer for me with my iron. Yeah, because it just feels like that's pretty low. You might also want to talk to your doctor about getting an iron panel at some point, just to kind of
Okay.
see how that's doing, and a ferritin um, panel. Um, okay, yeah. So there's this dryness pattern. One thing that they're bringing up is you can go cold, and so cold and dry often go together. And so we want to be careful about doing hydration things that are going to further make your digestion go cold and have things slow down. So, one thing they're bringing up is actually raw oils. And so, we often cook with oils, but it's easier, like having them raw or putting them on the food after we've cooked, can do a lot for getting that kind of like lubricating those tissues. For you, like an olive oil is a neutral oil. You could do a sesame as a warming oil. I would avoid coconut as a cold oil, so I'd avoid that one for you. It also feels like it's irritating. Like nuts can be a little irritating for you. Um, and what are they saying? Sunflower is a light oil that's kind of iffy actually too. I don't know if people have feelings about seed oils, but um yeah, so there's that. I also recommend like some chia seeds. If you can put some chia seeds in your water, let them like kind of plump up, and then you drink those. That's going to bring a lot of kind of really good fiber in there. And then also they kind of get this like mucusy outside, and that can be really good for getting things kind of more lubricated. They're showing me that you do like I don't know if you like dry crunchy things to eat a
I
lot.
do.
Yeah, they're saying like the snacky crunchy thing. Same, totally. Um, but those are exacerbating things a little bit. So if you can kind of have them with something that, like maybe like a glass of this chia water or something along with it, because they are kind of irritating a little bit of the stomach and the digestive pattern. Um, yeah, it's really just that dryness that's causing a little bit of inflammation. Other than that, I'm not seeing any major issues with the digestion. I will say sometimes things sit there a little bit long and it does cause some gas and bloating through there. Um, they're actually talking about that as you think a lot. You have a very active mind. And so sometimes it's like you're not even done digesting and you're already like often like thinking about doing all these other things. And so if you can almost give yourself some time to like sitting outside and like drinking tea or something and really letting your body start to process. Because it's almost you go into fight or flight as soon as you've eaten. You're like, I'm moving on, I'm doing other things. If that makes sense. Um, okay. Just checking here. Let me look, and let me look at your arms and hands because we moved into digestion. So I do see a dryness pattern in your hands too. So you probably get crackly joints. Your hands do go cold more than they run hot. Um, and I do see some potential inflammation through all those joints in your hand. Have you been feeling that?
I have,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah. And have you previously done something where you used your hands a lot, like especially your right hand, something like fiddly?
I typed a lot and I really got in a bad habit of holding my phone a lot.
Yeah.
My phone's very heavy, so
Hmm.
I'm trying to
Yeah.
stop doing that.
And I almost see that like with the thumbnail
Mhm.
there with the scrolling, right? That it's kind of that's what might be reshaping that a little bit. Um, and so it's like, what do we do about that? Everything is on our phone, right? It's like, what do we do about that? Is it possible to get a smaller phone? Because
Yeah, I think,
okay, because I do
yeah.
feel like phones are they're almost everything is made for like a man's body in this world, and especially these like giant phones, like you your hands are smaller, right? And so there it's like you have to work so much harder just to use it. They're showing it's almost like you have to like use your other hand to reach the top of the screen with
Mhm.
so you can't even reach the whole screen by just holding it. Um, and they're showing that it's like really straining some of the muscles throughout your hand as well. Um, some of this dryness and cold is also that what we're seeing throughout the digestion is just like you run dry and in the winter, things really get irritated from that. I would be sorry to get like dry skin kind of as well on your hands, dry cracked skin. Um, and they're pointing out ginger tea, adding that. And if you don't like the flavor of ginger tea, it can be really strong. Another way is to just get like fresh ginger and add slices of ginger into your water. And that's a nice kind of neutral way to get it in there. They're actually showing cooking with ginger as well. So if you're able to like incorporate it into some of the foods that you're eating, you really do best with kind of like, because some of these flavors can be really intense on your stomach and hit you kind of hard. So, as much as possible, getting them into food. And they're saying cinnamon as well. And they're also talking about ashwagandha as a potential herb for you. And that's something that ashwagandha can be a really intense thing. And so I recommend kind of just being like, being cautious about how you approach it if you do. And that kind of just like seeing what times throughout the day you want to take it, what parts of the month you want to take it, and see how it plays with you individually. And I would really, you're so intuitive, like check in with your body, say, is this a good time to take this? But ashwagandha, they call it, it's like, I think it translates to something like horse sweat or something. Um, and it's, and it's an adaptogen and it's kind of like a builder of energy. And energy is kind of something that is hard for you to access sometimes. Like you can have kind of puffy energy, like you're go, 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 but like you are running on fumes a lot of the time. Um, ashwagandha. Okay. So and they're saying like oilinating your hands too. So getting some kind of like a nice oil, or you could use a cream and just really rubbing them because they work really hard. And it's a moment, they're saying it's a moment where you're not able to do anything else but rub your hands. And those kind of moments are really good for you where you're kind of like slowed down into taking care of yourself. You're prevented from, it takes the time it takes, right? Um, so um Okay, so let's take a look and we wanted to see about hips. Hips are pretty good. They do say you're sitting a little more than they would like at this time. So that's something they just feel a little. So I do see almost on the left side that sciatic joint will kind of act up a little bit. And that's, yeah, from kind of the sitting for long periods of time. And there's also a holding pattern there around kind of what we talked about with the adrenals and anxiety as well. And that actually moves all the way down the leg into the knee. So let me take a look at that knee because there's a lot going on there. Was there an injury in that left knee at some point?
I don't have any cartilage in either one of my knees.
Oh, wow. Okay. And is that like a degenerative thing or is that?
The doctors don't even know why I don't have
Mm,
cartilage in my knees. I tore my meniscus on my right knee
mhm.
and I had surgery. And that's when the doctor's like, you're bone on bone.
Ouch. Yeah. Okay. Um, yeah, yeah, no, so it's like there's like a little bit, but it's very little, like as far as I'm saying. And your muscles do a lot of work, like keeping everything together, right? So they get probably pretty tender and they're showing on the inside, right? In the top part of the knee that gets really tender. And they're saying about like you had the injury in your right knee, and so your left knee really had to work super hard to balance that when that happened. And so it's almost like it got injured in its own way during that period of time from the balance, but it doesn't have the title of being injured. right? Technically. And so it's almost like sometimes things are harder to heal when they're not acknowledged, right? And so it's because the right one, yeah, the right one still also causes pain, but it's like it's gotten, I don't know, you must, did you have physical therapy or something around that right knee? Yeah. So that one got a lot of support around it. So it's almost like right one, like teach your friend, teach your friend on the other side. Um, So they're talking about the cartilage as being it's part of this holding pattern that you've had. Like you've almost kind of like worn yourself down a little bit from just holding onto things in your body. They're also showing like almost a lot of like knee locking that you did, like almost as a pattern of like just kind of like they're saying like standing your ground and locking your knees. And the way they're putting it is really interesting that in that like you couldn't be overtly standing your ground. And so it was an internal thing of like, I know who I am, I know what I believe, and I am committed to it and myself. But it kind of almost it kind of injured those. They're almost saying that it inhibited some of the growth and development of the tissues, the cartilage itself. And so that's why it's kind of limited and there's not a lot of explanation why it's there. You've been living with it so long you didn't know that it was like not how it was supposed to be to have pain like that.
Yeah,
And it was, I'm seeing like a clicking, like sometimes there's like a clicking in the knees. Yeah. Okay.
all the time.
Yeah. And so you're just like, well, that's just my body, right? Do you take any collagen ever?
I am starting a newer brand. A lot of vitamins, I get sick
Mm-hmm.
taking them. So
Yeah,
this
yeah.
new brand now.
Okay. And and how do you take it typically? Is it in a pill form or is it's a fit pill?
Mhm.
Okay, so I prefer like for me like a lot of vitamins I feel like are so compacted and so concentrated that sometimes it's hard for our bodies to process them, right? It's not how we were designed to like take supplements. And so as much as possible like food-based supplements are going to be a little bit more effective, especially when you have a sensitive system like you do. Um and so I would actually recommend like there's some collagens like I get a powder called Vital Proteins. There's lots of different powder ones, and I actually put it in my tea in the morning. No, my husband puts it in his coffee if you do coffee. And that is a really nice way to get it in because it's kind of like especially if you do some kind of a milk in your coffee, the milk fat helps with absorption and gives it something to kind of bind to get into your system. And so if you can kind of yeah like the pill things for you are difficult. I see that and it like especially with your digestion going cold and slow it just kind of sits there and clumps and you probably and the malabsorption it's probably hard to get it through. So if you can do something yeah that's more like a powder, I think that will do a little bit better. um and it'll be more immediately like bioavailable for you as well. um but I could see that being supportive. They're also showing things around kind of that like high I want to say like something like those spicy, things like cayenne, that kind of element, but it can be so disruptive to your digestion to have spice that I'm hesitating. Yeah, they're saying cinnamon instead. Cinnamon. So adding, yeah, just getting some cinnamon. And like even that, maybe even adding that to like your coffee in the morning or something as well to get it in a way that is already happening. Do you do coffee?
I don't.
Okay. Do you do tea or something in the morning?
I'm trying to learn how to drink hot tea.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Um, I mean, you could make it hot and then let it cool down, right? Um, and then let it, because it definitely it will absorb better into the liquid itself. Otherwise, yeah, you're so sick because you're sensitive to caffeine. They're showing me that almost like you get kind of, it just
Mhm.
like throws you off into the ethers. Um, um, And there's a lot of herbal flavor tea that you just don't like, also, is what I'm seeing too, right?
Very much so.
Yeah, so it's like
Very,
finding the one that feels
very much so.
um that's so fun. They're actually talking about almost like a hot toddy, not without the alcohol, obviously, but like something like a warm water with lemon might even be a little bit more of a flavor for you.
Okay.
Because they're almost showing me sour flavors. You do like a little bit more. And some honey, right, in there as well. Because it doesn't have to be tea, yeah, just like a warm liquid. Because it's like the herbal flavors really get you. That's mostly what herbal tea is. Yeah. You see that. They're even saying like a warm milk too, if you like warm milk or like something like a hot chocolate or something too. There's this company Gaia and they do a what is it? A golden milk that has ashwagandha in it. It's like a powder, and I put it in some more milk, and that for me is like it feels so good in my body. It's got like all those herbs in it. So if those kind of flavors sound good to you, I'll send you a link to that as well. Um, yeah, because I do feel like your stomach would benefit from warm liquids in it. But it's just finding the right one that makes you want to drink it, that feels like a treat almost. I see you like sweet flavor. Am I seeing that right? Like sweet? Yeah. Yeah. So something that maybe even feels like a treat, right? Like a hot chocolate with collagen. Like that sounds great.
Okay.
um, all right. Let me look at, and I see that your thighs, like the muscles in your thighs, are like also really tense a lot of times. They're talking about that just with your knees and everything, how much holding those legs have to do. Um, they're really taut with that. And then it goes into the like sciatic hip joints as well. And your calves too almost feel like they're always kind of tight and on. Um, but strong, you have really strong legs. So I don't know if you did something like running or cycling or something a lot when you were younger. Am I saying?
I did. I was very active until my meniscus tore.
Mm-hmm. Your legs are still strong like that. Like they still have a lot of that. They may not always feel like it, but I see that the way that the muscles are like that lean, long, muscular structure. Um, and you're very grounded too. Yeah, I see you're very grounded. And that's a practice you've cultivated. You weren't always so grounded. You just kind of go like whoo off
Mm.
on emotional adventures. So you're putting it. And you just kind of spin out and you have really like cultivated knowing who you are, like being in contact with the ground. A lot of nature practices is what they're talking about too. So I want to acknowledge and validate that as well. Okay, I'm going to pause there and check in with you and see if there's anything that I didn't cover that you want more information on or anything like that.
Um, no, I think you covered everything that I was basically concerned about.
Okay.
You nailed it. Also thought it was wild that when you went, you were like your legs, and right when I like tensed up my calf just to kind of stretch it, you're like, oh, your calves are tight. And like you said it like right then when I did it. It's so wild.
Oh, thank you.
You're
Thanks.
awesome.
Thank you. Thanks for reflecting that. Yeah, they were speaking in that moment. They wanted to say something.
It was the exact same time.
Yeah, because they was like I was looking at your thighs and they like pulled me down into them to say, "Look at me." Okay, great. So now we'll go ahead and move into the healing portion. Following the assessment, we end the session with a healing where we unpack the root causes of the stagnant energies that were surfaced during the walkthrough of the body and systems. The information quickly gets very personal and detailed, so in order to maintain the privacy and anonymity of my participants, I don't share these sections on the podcast. They're also not ideal for an audio format as they often include long stretches of silence while we work with visualizations, meditations, and other kinds of energy work. Thanks for listening to Medical Intuition Illuminated.
If this episode resonated, be sure to subscribe and share it with someone who might benefit. Special thanks to Derek Ryan for music. Until next time, listen deeply to the wisdom of your body. So I can